It was a weekend of controversial endings of seasons. It was a weekend of upsets. It was a weekend of pretty decent footy, if you can kind of get over the two things that happened over the weekend that kind of adopted all of our attention. But what really caught my attention and a lot of fans is that we have significant movement in the draft order. So what better time to crack out the monthly mock draft than right now? And a couple of caveats, because after the intro, I'm going to get straight into it, is this. This is not a power ranking. So this is your warning now. If you comment below and go, this player is either better or worse than those that are around him, what are you doing? I'm not answering you. Every time I do this, someone's like, they're ranked much higher. They could be. But in a mock draft, it's, do they feel a need for elite talent in a position that potentially they need? That's how I do things. Now, if that's your cup of tea, I hope you stick around. If that's not your cup of tea and you don't like that explanation, I don't know what to tell you, but I'm no longer going to be responding to comments going, why is this player here when he should be higher, lower, etc. If you want to do your own mock draft and comment it down below, feel free to let me know. That would be awesome. I love this. The second caveat is I've actually given North Port Adelaide's first round pick in this draft. Didn't do it in the last one. I've done it for this one. And the third thing is that when the Gold Coast Academy bids come in and the father-son bids come in, I've checked, double-checked, triple-checked that picks get absorbed and all these things. This is, as I've checked multiple sources, what I believe with the permutations that are coming into these picks. I don't even know if that makes sense. But this is the order as I've got the Academy and father-son picks, okay? So there won't be any mistakes there, hopefully. Fingers crossed. But again, if you do spot an error, please let me know. That is what I'm about in this business. Also in this mock draft, I've got the Ben McKay compensation, as you've seen in the title of this video. And I've also got Riley Sanders already being pre-listed to North. So Riley Sanders is not going to be in this draft. I have some people who I really do trust when it comes to the AFL space that tell me that the Sanders pre-listing is going to happen. So I think as we get towards the end of the year, I mean, this is August, we've got September, October, and I'll probably do a November one as well, but earlier in the month of November, I think it would be fair to say that once that decision's made, Riley Sanders is going to be taken off the board, so I'm doing it here now. But if I were going to pick a range for Riley Sanders to go in the draft, it would be in that 8 to 12 region. Okay, so there's your Riley Sanders content for those that are looking for it. Alright, all that done and dusted. Excellent. Click that subscribe button if you haven't already while the intro plays, and let's get into it. North, pick one. Harley Reid is the number one pick, and whoever finishes on the bottom is going to pick him up. I know there are going to be a lot of North fans that wonder why they would trade the number one pick. I get the assets that would be coming in, but it's not really the position of picks that's North's problem, it's their development. I've spoken about it numerous times on this channel, and I don't really want to kick North Melbourne people while they're down. West Coast are having the worst season, it seems, ever, and they're North are on the bottom. So, what more can I say that's not going to rub salt into that wound? So, Harley Reid to North, superstar, doesn't need to move anywhere, he'll be in Victoria. I think it would be really smart of North to bid on Jed Walter here for two reasons. One, make Gold Coast pay a premium. I mean, you could argue that they should bid on him one, which I don't really have a problem with. But two, Jed Walter is the best key forward in the draft. He's going to accompany Ben King and under the rule of Damien Hardwick, who of course did make a premiership side work with Jack Riewoldt as the number one forward and Shane Edwards as the number two forward, which is awesome. I loved Shane-O, an absolute star of the game. Him having Ben King and Jed Walter coming through is going to be exciting. It's not quite Riewoldt Lynch yet, as we know, but that is going to be a fearsome duo for Dimmer up at the Suns. Back to North, Daniel Curtin. I know North fans, especially a couple that I'm close to, love Nick Watson. Don't blame them at all for that. But they need to take Curtin for two reasons. One, so West Coast don't get him. And there is a little bit of pettiness about that, I understand. This kid's 196 centimetres tall. Considering they're getting the Ben McKay compensation in this draft, I am assuming that McKay is not there. And they've got Griffin Logue, who's injured for the all of next year, pretty much. They need a key defender. He's a key defender. I don't think they take Ollie Murphy here, and he's definitely not there, I don't think, by their next pick. So, put all that in the melting pot, and North Melbourne get Daniel Curtin. I don't really know what to tell you. And we finally get to West Coast, who started at 1 for the majority of the year, and they're now at 4 after winning 3 games for the year. Crazy, but I think they've got to add to the Jinby and Hewitt young midfield here. Colby McKercher is their man. I don't know what more I need to say about the great man. He is going to be a star. I think he's the best pure mid in this draft, and if I'm saying this right here, right now, and this can change over time, I think he's the best player in this draft. I know it's a big call, probably, potentially. I know everyone's on the Harley Reid train, and I've got no problem with Harley at all. I'm not suggesting Colby's going to be the only good player out of this draft, but there's just plenty about his game that I absolutely love watching, and I am hitching my caravan, to quote the Sunday Rub on Triple M, on Colby McKercher being the best player in this draft. The Eagles get a gun, and with Tim Kelly and potentially Elliot Yeo still there, apparently there are some murmurings going around in WA circles that Elliot Yeo might be taking a 2-year deal somewhere else, but whether he's there or not, that young midfield at West Coast continues to prosper. Pick 5, the Hawks, Nick Watson for mine. He's trained at Box Hill. Sam Mitchell would have got a good look at him, which you could argue was the same with Tyler Sonsie a couple of years ago, but the Hawks went with Connor McDonald over him. It's him or Zane Dersma. Dersma is versatile, I understand that, but I think the Hawks are wrapping their head around the fact that Tyler Brockman won't be at the club next year. I don't think Sam Butler has come on as much as maybe Hawthorn want him to, although I am a big fan of Butts and think he's part of the future. But considering Brocky might not be there, Luke Bruce is definitely not going to be there 2 years from now. Could play on next year. Punky's going to lead the goal kicking for the 5th time in his career. Getting a mercurial player in that front half is going to be vitally important for the Hawks. I love Nick Watson. Plenty of Hawks fans love Nick Watson. It's him or Zane Dersma, which leads me to Melbourne, who I think take whoever the Hawks don't here. So I've got Zane Dersma going to the D's, who does help them because they did want Bailey Humphrey, and I think Dersma or Caddy is best case scenario for the D's. I didn't mean for it to work out that way, but it's just the way that it's fallen here. Again, another centre forward piece for the D's as they try to figure out their perfect forward mix. I can see in 2 years from now, Van Rooyen and Matt Jefferson being their tall forwards, and when you add in Bailey Fritsch, Zane Dersma, Cozzy Pickett, I mean, that's a pretty damn good forward line of the way it looks. So Melbourne would be thrilled here if they can't manage to trade up for that number 1 pick. Will I do a mock draft where Melbourne have the number 1 pick and we can see what North can do with those permutations? Potentially, but for now, Zane Dersma to the D's. Got Ethan Reid coming in next here. I think the Crows make a bid on him, and again, yes, Riley O'Brien is a really, really good ruckman, but their backup stocks in Riley Thilthorpe is fine enough, I guess, but Gold Coast I don't think are going to pass up on this kid at all, so again, make them pay a premium. I've got no issue with that at all. Is it high? Yes. Is that a problem? Potentially, but again, I don't see a problem. Gold Coast are getting their academy kids first dibs when no one else does. Make them pay a premium. Simple. Easy. Best ruckman in this draft? Yes, I'm a big fan of Mitch Edwards, but I'm really looking forward to seeing what Ethan Reid can do at the Suns. Jared Witts is not going to be at the Suns, I don't think, 3-4 years from now, when he could be developed, and the Suns could also get some draft points for Ned Moyle as well if he seeks further opportunity. And that leads us to the Crows. Nate Caddy, another centre forward piece. Guys like Luke Pedler are hoping to get more midfield time. We know Rory Sloane has stayed on as kind of an insurance piece for that midfield. What happens with Matt Crouch, we're not sure, but this young, exciting Adelaide team having Rankin, Rochelle, Fogarty, Thilthorpe, if he is a part of their plans, and Tex, of course. Having Nate Caddy around is going to be absolutely fine. He doesn't need to roll through the midfield early in his career. He can definitely find his way in that forward half, which is awesome. His size is great. He's a beautiful kick at goal. He might come in and out of games early on, but again, Adelaide are not that bad of a team that he needs to be a foundational piece for them yet, so he's going to be able to build in his career nicely. I love the Nate Caddy pick to the Crows a lot. The Giants, now this is higher than I've seen this guy go in nearly any mock draft, but Darcy Wilson to the Giants just makes a whole lot of sense for me. Guys like Finn Callahan and their outside runners are great. Josh Fay has been awesome. Looking forward to what they can do there, but Wilson will add even more class to this side. If they're not going after one of those centre forward players, the Giants, which I think they should, and we'll get to that in their second pick, then definitely good ball users. The way that they've been able to defend their defensive 50, the Giants, so well with Sam Taylor and Jack Buckley down there, and the fact that they've been able to repel on teams effectively under Adam Kingsley, better ball users is going to be the way to go, because when you're kicking it to Hogan, Riccardi, who just signed a 3-year deal, Toby Green down there, yes, they could go after some smalls, but Bedford's been pretty good for them this year. Brent Daniels has been pretty good for them this year. I don't think they're going to use a top 10 pick here to go after a small forward, mainly because Watson is off the ball, and they don't really have the means of reaching for someone here, especially because they've got another pick in this first round. It's a quality ball user. That's what Darcy Wilson is. That's who I've got the Giants taking in this spot. And for the Cats at 10, they've got to go O'Sullivan. I can see the Giants taking O'Sullivan here, but the Cats are probably going to lose Radagalia at the end of this year. It's Geelong, Hawthorn, or Port Adelaide, which is what is being reported. They're going to need some more tall stocks, and I think that's the go. Yes, another midfielder would be really nice. I understand that, and if Riley Sanders was available here, he would be the perfect pick for the Cats here. But, as is the rules of this mock draft, he is not available, so we've just got to live with it. Down back, good player. Again, they've got Sam De Koning, and they've got guys that he doesn't need to be the big banana there. He won't be taking the Charlie Curnows of the world, and Geelong's defense, whilst not great this year, isn't exactly a defense that he is going to need to be available round one and be in that conversation as one of the best defenders in the league in order for Geelong to be good. Yes, Geelong need midfielders. I understand that. I think they're going to target that in free agency in the trade period. Maybe it's a Darcy Parish, maybe it's a Bailey Smith, and I think they go tall in the draft here. So O'Sullivan to the Cats works for me. All right, Essendon, time to do some funny things here. Bid on Jake Rogers again, because if the Suns, for some reason, said no, they would get a quality ball user, a quality player. Gold Coast are going to accept the bid, so I don't have a problem with that at all. Rogers is going to be a gun. I think he kind of is the forgotten man out of the Gold Coast Academy kids, but I can see some real potential there. Where he fits into their midfield early, I don't know. What that means for some fringe Gold Coast midfielders, I don't know. Hopefully they can get a salary dump and get the points necessary for their academy guys. Really like what Rogers brings. He's a clean user of the footy, and he's got some footy instincts that are difficult to teach. So I'm kind of buying his stock as the forgotten man of the Gold Coast Academy kids. But keeping on theme with the Bombers here, if they don't get Rogers, why not bid on another father-son? Go to the Bulldogs, who have the next pick, make them absorb their pick, and go for Jordan Croft. Now, I think the Bulldogs, even though they've got the tall forwards necessary, are going to match the bid, because again, talls take longer to develop. You don't know where his best position might be. I don't know even if Bevo is going to be there, so he might play on a wing for all we know, because playing blokes in their position isn't really something that Luke Beveridge enjoys doing. And again, if the Bulldogs for some reason said no, Essendon get a tall forward. They could use one of those. Peter Wright, awesome. Kyle Langford's been amazing this year. Do not get me wrong, he has been amazing this year. When those look at, like you say, Jack Gunston as that third tall forward, he has played that role beautifully. When Buddy left, Gunston became the number 2. That's kind of what Langford's done this year. Wiedemann was supposed to help up forward. He didn't. Langford stood up. I still think for Essendon to be a genuine finals contender, Langford needs to be your number 3, who can kick 40 goals a year. Don't get me wrong. And Croft would help that. The Bulldogs are going to accept the bid, though. And yes, Essendon could look at that and take Archer Reed here. I know that that would make a lot of sense. I still think they lack quality ball users. That's why I'm going for Archie Roberts here. Now, if you're the type of person that says, Daz, for all your reasoning, why wouldn't they just take Archer Reed? I don't have an argument with you for this, but the Bombers really do. When you think of good quality ball users at the Bombers, Dyson Heppel's getting older. Zach Merritt, tick. Mason Redmond, for sure. Jordan Ridley, yep. But there's not really all that else there. Nick Hind is really quick, but once we get into that 35 to 40 metre range with his foot, I'm not sure he's the most trusty ball user there. I love the footy IQ of this kid. The more I've watched of him in the last month, the more I'm kind of falling in love with the way that he plays his footy. And I think Bombers fans would get around him really early. Elijah Sardis has been a really good first-round pick. I think he's going to be a genuine 200-game star. And honestly, I don't see a reason why, at this point, Archie Roberts doesn't become a fan favourite at the Bombers either. Tholstrop here is going to be a genuine reach. I understand that. But if you're looking for a centre-forward player, he's the best one that is available, in my opinion. This kid is able to impact the contest in the air, on the ground, and around the goals. Doesn't mind passing them off, can finish from genuinely anywhere. and would bring some excitement to that Giants forward line that is already there, by the way. But considering they want to roll Toby Green through some stoppages, considering that their core three of Kelly, Canelio, and Tom Green aren't forwards at all, a guy that can wait a bit and then rotate through some centre bounces is going to be key for the Giants here, and that's Colton to a T. Coming out of this draft with Wilson and Tholstrup here would be awesome for the Giants. And with that hair of his, he would become a commentator's favourite very, very quickly. How quickly it would take BT to stuff up his name would also be something nice to put on the 2024 bingo card, but one problem at a time. Love this fit in a big, big way. Speaking of loving the fit, Sydney, 15, Ollie Murphy. Paddy McCartan's just retired. They're struggling for key defenders. He's a key defender. Need I say more? It's just the perfect fit. What more can I tell you? Ollie's a gun. He has played some ruck, has played some forward, but again, trialing these kids in different positions is fine. He is a key defender. I think coaches know that. I think scouts know that. I think clubs know that. Sydney need one. If he's there, take him. For the Saints now, I'm actually paying St Kilda a huge compliment here, and that wasn't meant to sound as surprising as I think it does, but I don't have them taking a midfielder. Yes, Steele hasn't been at his genuine best. I like Brad Crouch in that midfield mix. I really do. Considering they've got Philippou, Winhager, Owens who can go in there. Owens can play as a midfielder when Marshall is the ruckman, I believe. Now, I know rebounding defender isn't exactly what St Kilda might be looking for, but I think the talent of James Leake here is something that is going to appeal to the Saints. Yes, you could have someone like a Josh Battle be your genuine centre-half back and have this guy as a tall-ish, tall to medium rebounding defender who's got really nice skills, and he kind of bridges that gap between kind of the Jimmy Websters and the Ben Pattons of the world. Beautiful user, and again, St Kilda aren't in a position where their first round draft pick needs to play round one. And considering the talent that he's got, the foot skills he's got to burn, it works. Nasiah Wanganeen-Millera is an elite user of the pill. Brad Hill, an elite user of the pill. Why not bring more of that to your football club? Especially with a fast deck at Marvel with so many home games. If they want to play their slingshotting footy with how well Ross Lyon is setting up defensively, I think he's the guy. I really like this fit for the Saints. Carlton, potentially another reach here, but Ashton Moyer would be awesome for the Blues. Small forward, does what I think you could ask any small forward to do. I know he's starting to get more detractors than love at the moment. I understand that, considering he's struggled to adapt to senior footy, but I don't think we can take his natural talent out of the way. And again, when you get drafted to a good team, of which Carlton are, I hate to break it to you, but they just are now, so all the haters of the Blues, I don't know what to tell you, but they're a good team now. He doesn't need to come in straight away. But considering they've got, Owies and Motlop who are doing really nice things, Lockie Fogarty's rejuvenated his career, I should say. Got guys like David Cunningham who have done pretty well as well. Having a kid just sitting in the twos, potentially developing his game and getting up to speed, and then ready to unleash as a guy who, don't forget, 5 months ago was top 5. Borderline a lock from what I was hearing at the time. So, yes, he might be in that sort of 20 to 30 range in terms of power rankings. Power rankings don't mean shit in this scenario. Ashton Moyer to the Blues would be terrifying. I've got Melbourne bidding on Will McCabe here. He's been in a moon boot, big Will, but he fits a need for the Hawks. Centre-half back. Fingers crossed he's actually a centre-half back. The Hawks definitely need one. The Hawks' defense has looked a lot better without Sam Frost there. As I've mentioned earlier, Emerson Jekker I don't think will be at the Hawks next year. So getting that body down there is good. Now, he's definitely going to need time in the gym. Jimmy Blank is definitely going to be the number one key defender in 2024. It's going to take Will a while to grow into that, so that's why the Hawks would probably be bridging with going after an Asava Radagalia, but I've got Will around this point. Where the bids come in is pretty difficult to predict, but then again, so is an entire mock draft, so I've got Big Wilbur going here, who looks like an absolute gun based off his under-18s form, and did get hurt a little bit in the championships, which might have made his talent seem a little modest to those that only check out the carnival. Melbourne here, I've got the D's taking Riley Hardiman. I think they've just got to go best talent available, and I love what this kid can do. Line-breaking speed, got a nice leg on him. Again, doesn't need to play round one, doesn't need to figure it all out anyway. The D's are the epitome of a side that are looking at best talent available, and I think they're going to see plenty in this guy. Love his run, love his gun, love his dash. I think the D's will as well. And as a side that aren't really reliant on elite ball use a lot of the time, some of the detractions around his kicking mightn't mean as much to the D's as it might another footy team. Plenty to burn. I've got a couple of people that have watched him play live that note that he is one of the happiest looking blokes on a footy field, which is really nice. And he's got leadership quality as well. If that doesn't tick all the boxes for the boys in the red and the blue, I'd kind of be surprised, actually. 20, North, kind of debated this a little bit, but I'm going Archer Reed. They just need a tall forward. North, please take a tall forward in this draft. Please. Please. Please, North, please take a tall forward in this draft. Charlie Coleman's unfortunately been injured, but Nick Larkey is the only one you look in that forward 50 and go, yep, he can take the game away from the opposition. He'll be a work in progress. I know that. He'll still need some stuff to work on, don't we all? And I know Larkey was taken in the 70s of a draft, but thinking you're going to strike twice with numbers like that is ludicrous. He's still there in this particular draft. North, sprint to the podium and take him. I know that there is going to be a very talented kid in this draft that is going to miss out, and I'll address that at the end. And I could see North taking him as a project player, but no, Archer Reed is the right call here. The Bulldogs, now again, this would determine if someone like Tim English did get lured away, but that's not what this draft is about. So again, I'm going with Will Patton, another rebounding defender who would bridge the gap between the Bailey Dales and the Jason Johannissons of the world and the Bailey Williamses of the world and the Ed Richardses of the world with their tall defenders. He was named in the under-18 All-Australian team for a reason. He's the perfect fit for the Bulldogs. Don't really know what else you want me to say. I could definitely see them taking Mitch Edwards if, of course, Tim English wasn't there, but the Bulldogs would probably not take Jordan Croft there, or they might use Sam Darcy in that ruck role, but Will Patton's a perfect fit, and until I see irrefutable proof that the kid can't play footy, him to the Bulldogs just really works for me, which leads us with the Pies, who, again, Mitch Edwards is probably the logical pick here, but I just keep looking at that Collingwood forward line thinking they need another lead-up target to help Myercheck, and that's why I've got Logan Morris here. Yes, Mitch Edwards, he's not in the first round of this mock draft, which genuinely shocked me when I wrote it out for the first time, but I really like where this draft is. Mitch Edwards, if I was doing power rankings, is in the top 22. Don't get me wrong on that. But Morris to the Pies works really well because the Pies clearly do not want a 200cm guy not named Ben King standing in the goal square. Morris has got nice athleticism, a really nice set shot, and has footy IQ. It really works. I like this guy. I'm buying the Logan Morris stock. I'm buying his stock into a side that he doesn't need to be the number one or even the number two in a forward line, and that's what I'm going with. So my apologies to Mitch Edwards. I think he's going to be a star. But that's not how mock drafts work. So what do you guys think? Comment below, let me know what you agree with, what you disagree with. Thank you so much for watching. Click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Like this video if you like the video. Can't wait to share more footy stuff with you. Hope you enjoyed your weekend. I'll see you on Wednesday night. Goodbye.